Nairobi County to welcome us to Nairobi. Karibu Governor.
Thank you very much, Waziri, Your Excellency the President. Karibu sana Nairobi, karibu Kasarani. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for us to be here. Today we're talking about special needs and special education. And I think one of the biggest champions we have is our women representative, Esther Passaris. So allow me, Waziri, to just have her say something before I proceed. Karibu, tumpigie makofi.
Your Excellency, and I'll say all protocols observed because of time. Your Excellency, I have worked with the persons living with disability forever. I had a company called Sharper Images that employed the deaf people, and I still have deaf people working in my office. And today I have been touched in such a special way. I feel that the money that was given to the people entrusted with this function was well spent. Well spent. As I walked around, you know, there are times you allocate money for a project and you go and you ask yourself, iyo pesa ilifanya kazi gani? But here, I have been, because I had spinal problems, I've been through physio at Aga Khan, at Nairobi Hospital, and I want to tell you that this facility has better equipment than all the private hospitals in Kenya. This facility has better equipment and coordination than all the facilities I've been even in India. And when I hear that they will be charging only 100 shillings for a child, and they're charging 1,000 for an adult, and I know that even Kenyatta National Hospital charges a lot more, I believe that we should publicize this facility and ensure that Kenyans get to know. Your Excellency, I heard you asking a question when you were being shown the facilities. You asked, na watoto wa Kakamega wataenda wapi? We had the 8 provinces. Such a facility should be replicated in all the 8 provinces. Your Excellency, all those women that you saw that are here with their children, you know, to be given a disabled child, it's a gift from God, we say, because it teaches you how to become so humble, and your humility and your love is challenged. So when you're given a disabled child, you are actually given a blessing, because if you can love that child, you are actually going to be a superhuman being. So I saw all those women, and one thing I know, even if they pay 100 here, if they're living so far away, it becomes very challenging. With our housing project, because of this facility being here, we should make a housing project nearby and strictly for women and mothers and parents who have disabled children. So the proximity is just within walking distance. So we should try and make a holistic approach to dealing with disability. And you know now, Your Excellency, first of all, I'm very touched today. And I want to congratulate everybody that put the money to good use. This is the kind of Kenya we want, where you're given a budget and you do the right thing. Now that I have your audience, and I know you're a very busy man, Your Excellency, we have a problem at Kenyatta National Hospital. They are detaining patients. There are a lot of patients being detained, beds being occupied by people who should go home. And us as politicians, we are actually crippling Kenyatta National Hospital, because over the last 10 years, they've probably written 10 billion shillings. And when they get a budget, they're not being given the 10 billion that they've written off. So they need to be replenished with their budget so that they can be able, because if you're given a budget for the year and you wrote off last year because your patients couldn't pay, then obviously you're sinking in a big hole. So Kenyatta National Hospital is challenged. I don't want any of those patients to spend Christmas in the hospital. Some are detained for even 6 months, 1 year. I really pray that you will give a directive to release all those detained patients, because that is part of your UHC. The community health promoters that you recently...
For this person to be born blind, is it the father, is it the mother? And the response by the Lord Jesus was that this happened for the glory of God. God knows why certain children are born in a certain way. It is upon us as society and as leadership and as government to make sure that God's glory can shine through those children by giving them a special opportunity to have a fair chance at life, to equalize their chances at life. A few years ago, Your Excellency, when I was Senator of Nairobi, we went around and I met a lady called Simaton who was doing what we call therapies for kids. And her biggest challenge was that there were many children who were being brought, for this physiotherapy, for exercises, and at least they were developing. But there are many more in Nairobi who are locked up in the slums. If you go to the slum areas, you'll find a child has been locked in, because when the child is born that way, first the father anazama. Anasema hii ni laana, or there's something wrong. Once the father has disappeared, huyu mama labda kazi yake ni kufua nguo. Haezi enda na huyo mtoto. So huyo mtoto haendi shule, amekaa tu kwa nyumba, amefungiwa kama mbuzi, Your Excellency. I'm glad with friends who was able to get one bus that time. That bus goes around some of the slums, picks up those children. It has the mechanism to even get wheelchairs at the back, but it is not enough. We have too many children and too few facilities to take care of them. Your Excellency, I'm glad because you care about the children and you care about education. The investment we've seen in education just this year has never been seen since this country started. More than 56,000 teachers. Your focus on uplifting the education sector, and that is why the education sector has the highest budget, I think 650 billion or so. You have a very good CSN team. We are partnering together in Nairobi. We are working very closely. For us, we've said, taking care of our children is not a national function or a county function, it's a leadership responsibility. And that is why we have partnered. I'm glad that you've offered us 5,000 classrooms. You're doing 3,500, I'm doing 1,500, and that partnership is what we need. We will call the MPs together, all the 17 MPs and the women rep and senator, for us to agree how to map this out within our constituencies. Because it cannot be that the whole of Nairobi only has 209 schools for a population of 5 million people. Mheshimiwa Meli, I know in your place you probably have more than 100 schools in your one constituency. Here in 17, we have 209. So what happens to these other children? They go to informal school, Sunday ni kanisa, Monday it's a classroom, jioni ni bar, the next day ni mkutano wa mama. It's not a good environment. Once we've introduced our school feeding program, Your Excellency, in this last one term, where we are already in 45 schools, enrollment has gone up 150%. As it is, we're feeding 88,000 children every day. The rest of the 5 kitchens are done. In January, I am worried. Instead of 250,000 children, Waziri, we are going to have around 350,000. So we want to move quickly, and I hope we can get people like those who did this work. Because this is work you can see value for money, prudence in use of public resources. Really good work. Your Excellency, the second thing that we're really partnering, and I must mention, is, in Nairobi, this institution, for instance, had 76 acres. 20 have gone. What is remaining is 50 acres. And I'm glad that the director has raised it, and Waziri, we need to regularize those who have built on this land, because we cannot destroy their houses, waje walipe. As the county, we will support that process, Your Excellency, together with the MP and the Ministry of Lands, because we must bring them into the system. Right now in this constituency, many residents are jittery, awalali na amani, because they lost a case in the Kirima land, around 980 acres. In Choka area, Njiru, going into Embakasi East. Your Excellency, as a county government, we're going to do a mediation process between the family and these residents. Many of them are innocent third buyers, second buyers. We're not trying to justify anybody encroaching on public or rather private land. But we must, do something to mediate in that situation. So with your permission, Your Excellency, I will liaise with the Ministry of Lands as well. I will liaise with the Regional Commissioner, Kate, we've discussed it. We'll call all of those resident associations, Okoapo, Tuite Familia Kirima. You cannot destroy, it's a whole, I think there are more than 6,000 households. Hatuwezi wavunjia manyumba yao. Ili tukae tukubaliane, walipe, settlement fulani, ndo tuweze kuendelea mbele. Finally, Your Excellency, is just to encourage you. You have a huge task ahead of you. The hope that I saw in that child on the treadmill needs to be replicated. There are so many others, whether it is in Kakamega, whether it is in, in the Coast Province, who need that chance. As leaders, the prerogative to ensure equality of opportunities. If in this country, no matter where you're born, no matter which community, if you know that your child has the same chance at life as the other child, hata uhasama mingi itaisha. Because everybody wants the same thing, to go about their life peacefully, to make something of themselves, and guarantee their children a future. Your Excellency, what you're doing is the work of God. You're a co-worker with God, and we're happy to work with you as we proceed. Asante sana, and may God bless you with your work.
Your Excellency, also with us is are your principal secretaries, your secretary, Teacher Service Commission. We have the CEOs of all the state agencies in the ministry. You can stand up. You can stand up for. And we have your directors in the ministry, Your Excellency. All of them are here. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, in a very special way, we want to welcome you to this state-of-the-art training facility that was started by the government way back in 1986. Ever since the time this facility was started, Your Excellency, a total of 30,000 professionals have been trained here. It's only the other day that we were here for graduation ceremony on the 19th, when a total of 664 diploma graduates were awarded their diplomas, and also 2007 were also awarded certificates. Your Excellency, the services that we continue getting from here, above all, we want to thank you for rolling out the Universal Health Care Program, because among the people who are going to benefit most out of that particular program are those with special needs and disability, Your Excellency, because they will be able to access medical attention and treatment, and also they will be able to access other services that they were not able to access there before. We were able to give, Your Excellency, and we thank your government, devices worth 87 million Kenya shillings the other day, which went out to our 101 centers countrywide. And we have said this will be a center of creating assistive devices that are so much required in those other facilities, Your Excellency. And we are even coming up with a policy to deal with children with special needs, such that moving forward, we should be able to focus more as government to these particular children who are having cases of special needs and disability, Your Excellency. We thank the government, Your Excellency, because 2016, government allocated 704 million. The building that you have commissioned today, the total cost of it all these buildings, the new block, was 704 million. Also, government gave 200 million, which was used for the procurement of special equipment, among the others which we have also seen, Your Excellency. And moving forward, we also thank your government because an allocation of about 100 million has been done this financial year, which will be for the purpose of putting up a parental empowerment center, of which we were able to inform you the purpose of that center. Finally, Your Excellency, on behalf of the Minister of Education, we want to thank you so much, because each and every time that we have a function to do with education, you have always created time to be with us, being a very clear testimony on your commitment and how passionate you are on matters education. Your Excellency, we thank you, because for 1 year, we have had 56,000 teachers. For 1 year, we have had something that Kenyans never thought we would have, Open University of Kenya, and so many other achievements that we have been able to achieve in this 1 year. And finally, Your Excellency, to thank you in a very special way, because in our field officers, the Deputy County Directors of Education and our Quality Assurance Officers never had the kind of facilitation like transport, but you were able to provide 1.4 billion Kenya shillings, and we have been able to procure 203 vehicles, which will be able to be taken to all our sub-counties. We have 398 sub-counties, so almost all of them will be covered by vehicles. And Your Excellency, I assure you that this will be able to improve monitoring, supervision at that local level, and no doubt that the quality of education by the end of the day will improve. Even the delivery of competence-based curriculum will also be efficient, because our officers at that particular level will be mobile, Your Excellency, and we thank you so much, Your Excellency. With those remarks, it is now my humble duty to welcome His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya to address all of us. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Asante sana. Tafadhali tunaweza keti chini. Asanteni sana. Asante sana Bwana CS, Governor wetu wa mji wa Nairobi, Principal Secretaries walio hapa, wabunge wetu, and all the very important people from the education fraternity of the Republic of Kenya. Good afternoon. We gather here to restate our commitment to the provision of a comprehensive and effective education for all our children. We also restate that the government will invest the resources required to build a firm foundation for a better, inclusive, and transformed Kenya. Today we flag off, as Waziri has said, 203 new vehicles allocated to the 47 counties for use by our education officials in the management, the supervision of our education across Kenya. A few months ago, I received a report from the Presidential Working Party on education reforms with a raft of recommendations to improve access, equity, and the quality in the delivery of education for all our children from primary school through to university, including a mechanism of how this would be achieved in a sustainable way and how it would be funded. We are already implementing some of the report's recommendations, and our lawmakers, and they are very ably represented here, are deliberating on the proposals that require both policy and legislative changes so that we can unlock the full effect of that report that was done by a huge body of professionals and done very well. It is our commitment that every child should have the chance to fulfill their potential and rise to the highest level of accomplishment that their intellect, their talent, their knowledge, and determination can allow. This is our duty as parents, as a society, as a government, and as a people. We appreciate that going to school is not enough. We have to make sure that children learn basic reading, writing, numeracy skills, and many other extracurriculum subjects, which are the foundation of quality learning. To aid this objective, we have recruited 56,000 additional teachers, the largest number ever, but also teachers on their own are not enough to guarantee quality learning. They need support from the school, from parents, from society, and of course from government. The right learning environment, effective school management, and the provision of appropriate and sufficient reading and learning materials are also crucial, including devices for those students with special needs. To every teacher across the country, I promise our support so that you can do your best as part of our duty to ensure children learn to the expected standard and under the best possible environment and with the best possible facilities. Education officials across the country, too, have a critical role to play in shaping the quality of education in our institutions by ensuring that high standards are kept. Their supervision and inspection, both functions keep the system running as it was envisaged and as it should. The government relies on the officials to deal with education emergencies. They are the first responders to any distress, threat, or crisis faced by learners or by teachers or by the school as a whole. They provide physical, psychological, and other forms of support that minimize danger to our children and to our schools. We are here to support our officials by providing the necessary resources they need to undertake these very necessary tasks. These vehicles that we are flagging up today will ensure the mobility and effectiveness, including the efficiency of our education officials. They will help to improve supervision and inspection services to all schools across our 47 counties, and we expect the officials to enforce school attendance by learners and teachers and map out the necessary support required in all our institutions. We also expect them to strengthen internal quality assurance and standards the government is developing with head teachers and principals in the context of the overall education curriculum. Education officials will also be able and be on the front line of the quality assurance and standard system the government is developing and perfecting continuously. Education officials should detect lapses in curriculum delivery and work together with the school leadership to deal with them and to look at how to build capacity in our schools, with our head teachers, and indeed for every learner as we seek to deliver the most appropriate and the most focused education. With examinations beginning next week, these vehicles will also improve the monitoring and distribution of examination papers across the country, and the examination period tests the entire education system and is one of the ways to ensure the system holds. What I'm saying here is that the opportunity we have next week is to test what our children have been going through, the learning they've gone through in the last 1 year. And I'm happy that it is no longer an all or nothing exercise. We are now looking at how to bring in competency-based education, that examination is not a do or die exercise. It is part of the exercise of learning. And that is why when Waziri informed me about what we are doing and what this exercise is all about, I wanted to come and provide a push so that our education officials know and understand that the reason why we have the largest budget this year for our education sector is because we have the single most important asset in the human capital of Kenya. And the best way to sharpen this human capital is through education and training and knowledge provision. And it is the reason why we are expending a lot of resources in this space, because we also know that through education, we can equalize the fortunes of all our children. It is the chance we have as society, through education, to make sure that all our children get the same chance at life. Irrespective of the community you come from, irrespective of the financial background of your parents, irrespective of the region you come from, the provision of education will give us as a society to provide a chance for all our children to have a good chance at life. It is the reason that I undertook that we will progressively ensure that we eliminate the gap that exists in our teacher-to-student ratio. We must give every child a chance to learn. and we must present them with the best possible opportunity to learn. And it is the reason why the government of Kenya will continue to deploy resources, even when we are constrained by many other factors, economic aspects, climate change issues. But this is the one thing we must always never lose focus, to give all our children a chance to be their best. Let me also say that it is the reason why this year we have improved our budget on matters school feeding, because many children in our informal settlement, in the pastoral areas, fail to go to school because there is no food at home. And sometimes they don't even have the energy to go to school because they haven't eaten something. And it is very important that our children don't lose the chance to go to school because there is a gap of a meal. It is the reason why we are improving our budget. I want to thank members of parliament. When I made the proposal to increase the budget on school feeding from about 1.5 billion to 5.5 billion, parliament approved, knowing very well that these are our children. This year, hopefully, we will improve the number of kids that will benefit from school feeding. If all the counties were to come on board, we would actually take it to 8 million kids who will get a meal in school. But working as national government, we are targeting 4 million. I did ask, and I want to thank the governor of Nairobi for coming through. I did ask that any county government that puts a shilling in school feeding program, we are going to match that shilling with another shilling so that we can make food accessible to the children who need it to be in school. And you have seen the statistics because we've gone through these numbers. Just by providing a meal in school, the numbers go up by 150%. Clearly indicating that a meal in school is making a difference in not just attendance in school, it also has an effect in school learning outcomes. So this is an exercise we must keep at it. Number two, it is also the reason why we are having a conversation with Parliament. I know there is a debate in Parliament with our members of Parliament on a matching fund for delivery of our junior secondary school classrooms. I want to persuade our members of Parliament that to be able to provide sufficient infrastructure for all our children, we are making resources available as national government to match the national government constituency development fund so that we can provide sufficient number of classrooms for all our children to transition from primary school to junior secondary to the next level and on their way to either our TVETs or to our universities. Again, I want to persuade our members of Parliament for us to work together in this space to deliver for the children of Kenya the opportunity for them to learn. And number three, on the same subject of education, when I came to Kasarani, when I came to Roysambu earlier this year, with Governor Sakaja and the MPs from this county, on the school feeding program, it became obvious that there are still too many children in Nairobi who are not going to school because there are no adequate classrooms. 209 schools in Nairobi is actually half the schools I used to have when I was a member of Parliament in Eldoret North. Yeah, I used to have close to 130 schools. Now you have, and that is for one constituency. Now you have in Nairobi 200 schools for 17 constituencies with 4.5 million people. There is something fundamentally wrong in the city of Nairobi. And it is the reason why I undertook that we are going to build an extra 5,000 classrooms in Nairobi County. And I'm happy I'm saying this in the presence of the county government and the members of parliament from Nairobi. When I made that commitment, we had already done the budget process. I want to tell the Nairobi County, especially members of parliament and the county government, that in the supplementary that I am sending to parliament this week, probably tomorrow or Monday, I have committed R1 billion shillings for Nairobi County as part of my commitment to start the building of the 3,500 classrooms that I undertook that the national government is going to build in Nairobi County. I want to ask members of parliament from Nairobi County to work with the Ministry of Education on a joint program, because we are going to make this, we are not going to procure ourselves for the construction of the classrooms. We want to work with the CDF to do that, so that becomes easy to deliver. So please, members of parliament from Nairobi, too many of our children in our informal settlements in Nairobi are not going to school because there are no adequate number of classrooms. Let us work together. I'm going to make a provision of R1 billion shillings this year, R1 billion shillings next year, and R1 billion shillings the following year, so that we can complete the construction of the 3,500 from the national government. And Sakaja has given me his undertaking that he will do the 500 schools this year, 500 next year, 500 the coming year, so that we complete the 5,000 classrooms for Nairobi County in 3 years. It would be a very big shame if the capital city of Kenya has kids who are not going to school. You know, it would be something that is unbelievable. Not that those not in the capital should not go to school. In fact, the surprising thing is that there are more kids going to school in the rural parts of Kenya than there are in the city of Nairobi. You know, what a paradox. So we need to work that out, and I am happy that we have a program. Please, CS Machogu, call the members of parliament from Nairobi next week, sit down with them, let us see how we can get Nairobi learning, get all our kids in Nairobi, irrespective of where they live, to go to school. And we're going to find, with the members of parliament, where to build these schools and where to make sure that where we build these extra classrooms in the various places, whether it's even in some of the primary schools. We can work with the county to make sure that that happens. Let me also say that our children with special needs, and I was informed by the director of this place that when you say children with special needs, it doesn't mean only those who are disabled, even those who are too clever. I'm told they are also, they have they need some special learning. So, and he has requested me 2 things, that we need to manufacture more devices to support the children with special needs. And I quite agree that we're still importing many of the basic devices. And we have decided as a country that what we can produce in Kenya, we should use the human capital we have, the resources we have, the raw materials we have to produce them in Kenya. And I agree that this is one area that we need to produce devices that are used by our children with special needs here in Kenya. They already have a piece of land, it tells me in Mavoko. I will make sure that that land is secured. I'm told there are some people hanging around there. I will deal with them. So we will secure the land. I will send the National Youth Service next week to secure the land. And I want to ask our members of parliament who are here that I'm going to adjust my budget again. I will knock off a few things, including the travel allowances and many of the things that are in there, so that I can find 500 million shillings to give it to start the manufacture of local devices that will assist in learning by our children with special needs. So, wabunge kina Mejandong mukubali. Mimi nitaenda nikate budget ya travel, tuweke 500 million ya wao wanafunzi. Na nitalete bunge kesho, so mujipange huko. Na mupitishe. Musipopitisha nitawashtaki kwa hawa watu hawa. So, and so prepare yourself. I'm going to instruct the National Youth Service to work with you so that we can put together the facility that will manufacture devices for our children who need them for special learning. And finally, as was said here by the leaders who spoke, we have challenges of land all over the country, and we're trying to align. We're trying what we must get rid of in the whole of this is impunity. We must get rid of impunity. We cannot allow impunity in Kenya. You know, we all must play by the rules. We are all equal before the law. And so the people who are willing to negotiate, they should negotiate and have a settlement. That is the best way to go about it. But the people who, using impunity, want to bring fake titles, seek entitlement to what is not theirs, that's not acceptable. So for the land that is in this institution, I am told some people have built flats around here on land that does not belong to them. So we are going to agree with them. We need the money to go and do the factory, so tutakata hapo, watulipe pesa. Market value. Sisi tutaenda, alafu tuende tutengeneze factory ya kutengeneza devices ya watoto wetu. Tutaongezea ile milioni 500 nimesema tutatoa kutoka budget, namna hiyo. So watu yako Bwana Karauri waambie, sisi hatuna problem, tutawafanyia evaluation, watuletee pesa, waendelee na maisha yao. Ama kama sivyo, mambo tu ni yale. Si hapo tulikubaliana sisi wote. Hapo tulikubaliana. So, and so it is to, so I think even on the subject that was raised by Sakaja, the county government, the national government should facilitate a process of settlement in a way that is acceptable to the owners of the land and those who are occupying. If they are willing to pay, we should go that direction so that we can create more harmony and be able to take this forward. Let me also say that as we move this process forward, I am acutely aware that there are many children who are at home because their parents have no means to care for them. They are disabled in one way or another. And I agree that our community health promoters, now that they will have 100 households to look after, they should also look for all the children who today have no access to any medical attention, any attention of any sort, and bring them forward so that we can find a mechanism of assisting these children with special needs, children with disabilities, who today their parents have no capacity to support them. It is also the reason why we had to go on a paradigm shift in the delivery of our health delivery in Kenya. We had to do it in a different way. For a very long time, we concentrated on a curative mechanism, building bigger hospitals, equipping with more equipment, but it is proven that if we can do more prevention, we will have less hospitalization and less curative, expensive interventions. So the fact that we are moving to more promotive and more preventive mechanisms, working with our CHPs, reorganizing our primary health care, our dispensaries, our health centers, making them people-centric, bringing on board better public participation in the management, in all the other aspects, having committees of communities. Communities must begin to appreciate that the dispensary next door, the health center next door is your facility, and you need to participate in making sure that it is run well, and we have provided a mechanism under the new law where the public will participate more in making sure that their facilities are working. We have also ring-fenced resources for every facility so that it is not used for other things. It is used to make sure that the delivery of service in every facility is much more efficient, is better, is improved, and we will get the public to work around it as we build a healthcare system that leaves nobody behind. It will also eliminate the current problems we have, including the ones Esther was talking about. In hospitals where people go in car bills and nobody knows who is supposed to pay because they don't have the ability to. Going forward, every citizen of Kenya will have a health card. Every citizen. So going forward, there will be nobody who will be detained in any hospital because we have made provision for every category of treatment at the primary level, at the referral level, and referral goes all the way up to the chronic, the emergencies. We've thought out the whole process so that nobody gets detained again, as is happening at the moment in any hospital, because we will have made the right decisions. And it is my intention to make sure that we sort out this challenge that has been with us for many years. And this time round, I think we have it in the right place. And I want to thank again Parliament. They passed all the laws in record time. We now have a framework. I'm going to be forwarding to Parliament the regulations in another month or so to make sure that we have the complete policy and legislative ecosystem to make sure that we deliver on this matter of health. Meanwhile, I will look at what to do so that nobody spends Christmas in hospital. I thank all of you who've been part of this momentous occasion and expect that these vehicles will have a positive impact in the work that all our education officials are doing. My very best wishes to all our children with their exams from Monday, kwa watoto wetu wote wa taifa letu la Kenya ambao wataingia katika mtihani wetu Jumatatu, na watakia heri, watakia baraka, utulivu, mweze kufanya mitihani yenu kwa njia na taratibu sawa sawa, na sisi wote kama serikali tutahakikisha kwamba mitihani hiyo inaendesha kwa njia inayofaa na kila mwanafunzi na mtoto wa taifa letu la Kenya atapata nafasi yake ya kufanya mtihani, ndio tuweze kuwapitisha waweze kusonga katika kiwango inayofuata. So again, to all the good people here who are assisting us with the running of this very important sector, I must say I am truly grateful. We have many people in this sector, the people working in the sagas, the people working in all the other areas. You're making our job a lot easier. Asanteni sana. I must also congratulate Machogu and team, your two principal secretaries and all the people, three actually principal secretaries and all the other people for what you're doing, especially in the rollout of the new funding model that will make our education much more predictable, our funding much more efficient, and making sure that we don't send our children to school when we haven't provided funding for them to learn. So I'm very happy with what the ministry is doing, and you have our support to make sure that all our children have an opportunity to learn. To TSC, who are helping with the management of our teachers, asante sana. I know you have a difficult job balancing many things, but now that we have made provision for some promotion of some of our teachers, hopefully we can motivate them more. I'm happy again that our teacher training colleges are back so that we do not have a gap in the number of teachers that are available to train and to teach our children. We will continue to work together within the parameters that are there, and my very best wishes. Asanteni sana, God bless you.